7 o'clock, the meeting is going to be called to order. Open Public Meeting Act, NJSA 10-4-6, according to the Open Public Meeting Act, this meeting on June 26, 2024 was sent to the R-Town and the Record and published on January 21st, 2024, posted on the bulletin board in the municipal building and on Rochelle Park's website and Facebook page, and has remained continuously posted as required notice under the statute and is being recorded and videotaped. In addition, a copy of this notice is and has been available to the public and is on file in the office of the municipal clerk. Roll call.
Deputy Mayor Tucci. Here. Committeewoman Artola.
Here.
Committeewoman Judge Covello.
Here.
Committeeman Miller.
Here.
And Mayor Vassetti.
Here.
You have a quorum.
Thank you. Please rise for the pledge of allegiance. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Next for a moment of silence. Thank you. Any correspondence? No correspondence. Motion for approval of the agenda?
I'll make the motion.
Thank you. Second?
I'll second.
Thank you.
Deputy Mayor Tucci.
Yes.
Committeewoman Artola.
Yes.
Committeewoman Judge Covello.
Yes.
Committeeman Miller.
Yes.
And Mayor Vassetti.
Yes.
Anybody doing that?
No.
I'm going to start right to the committee report. Tommy, would you like to go first?
Oh, skip me.
Please, ladies
I'm
first.
sorry, I didn't say yes.
No, go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
No, I'm good. Go ahead.
You sure? All right.
Change it up, right?
All right. In May, the court issued 331 traffic tickets and handled 29 criminal complaints, resulting in a total court revenue of $14,886 for the month of May. The Rochelle Park Library is hosting Myron the Magnificent, who'll be holding a magic show for families at 6 p.m. tomorrow, June 27th, in the Senior Center. No registration necessary. This is a great way to kick off the summer reading program. The show is suitable for all ages. The July library meeting will be canceled. The next library meeting will be held on Monday, August 12th at 6:30 p.m. in the Senior Center. Museum passes in the library are also available this summer. Intrepid Sea, Air, and Space Museum, as well as Storm King Art Center. More information available is in the library as well as the library website. Access for All's June meeting was canceled because it fell on June 19th. Access for All will be meeting on Wednesday, July 17th at 7 p.m. also in the Senior Center. There will be a household hazardous waste collection event on Saturday, July 20th from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. at Bern County Camp Gaw Mountain Reservation in Mahwah. Lastly, Bern County Historical Society is hosting a vintage baseball game, which will be played on Saturday, July 13th from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. at historic Newbridge Landing in River Edge. It's going to be authentic 19th century teams. The Flemington Nishnawks and the Enterprise Club of Newbridge will play a doubleheader game with 19th century rules and equipment. Visitors can tour the Campbell Christie House, browse the gift shop, purchase food and drinks, and enjoy short walking tours of the grounds led by Bern County Historical Society interpreters. That's all from me. Happy summer. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Committeeman Miller. Committeeman Carroll. Well done.
Woman. Good evening, everyone. Okay, the last meeting for the seniors, they had a wonderful Father's Day luncheon that was most enjoyable, and tomorrow is another meeting. They will be having an ice cream social with entertainment. The senior meetings will stop for the month of July and August, and will start back up again in September. For the school, congratulations to the new graduates of 8th grade and to the high schools. Both commencements took place last week, and I wish them all the best in their future endeavors. Also, I have the DPW. There was a lot of litter picked up in the park, so if we can just keep an eye on, making sure we can dispose of litter, that would be great. The DPW did spot checks to make sure there was no clogs in the sewers. There were 4 sewer backups. Street sweeper went out for a total of 15 hours this past month. They were still continuing to clean the sewer lines, and a few more streets to run will be completed shortly. PSC&G has planted a total of 28 trees on Oldest Street. They had to replace 4 due to them dying already. So, and they have also delivered 7 more trees to DPW for planting, which they hope to have in the ground before this Friday. Depending on the heat, they can't plant the trees in really hot weather, so they have to kind of wait till it cools down a little. And they're asking the homeowners that requested trees to please refill the water bags that are at the bottom of the trees when they're empty. Also, they found damage, again, at Carlock Field and reported it to the police department and be contacting the vendor that did the work to come back and look for damages. They repaired the sprinkler system at the municipal building, repaired a large sinkhole in front of 91 South Drive, and started repainting the stop bars and double yellow lines at the stop signs, as well as the crosswalks that have faded. There's a reminder that metal pickup is on Mondays for recycling. Contact the DPW. Electronics are picked up every 4th Wednesday of the month, and please also call the recycle hotline for that. I also want to say personally congratulations to Anne Marie Wells for being a new grandmother today for the 4th time. Yay! As well as I am a great aunt today for the umpteenth time. I lost track of all of them, but congratulations to the new little Vincent Joseph. And also a very happy and safe 4th of July. I wish you all the best. Thank you. That's all I have.
Yeah. Thank you, Committeewoman.
So for on Memorial Day, the weather dampened Memorial Day plans, but not the heart behind it. Mass at Sacred Heart was beautiful. Thank you to Father Rich Kelly. Afterwards, we gathered in the lower church hall for bagels and fellowship. The Memorial Day ceremony was moved indoors. Thank you to Commander Duddy for a beautiful service, and congratulations to John Weeks for being the Grand Marshal. Thank you also to the Rochelle Park Volunteer Fire Department and the Police Department for participating in the ceremony. The Boy Scouts, a special thank you to them because they did so much work, and to the American Legion Auxiliary and the Sons of the American Legion. The parade was canceled, but the gathering at the Post 170 Pavilion was not. Grand Marshal John Weeks was called into active duty in 1968 and served in the U.S. Army at Fort Dix. He has been the chairman of the Post 170 annual Classic Car Show for the last 8 years. These days, he's a crossing guard and greets everyone with a smile. On a personal note, he is always kind and likes to tell me about the good old days when he was in the same class as my Aunt Linda and shares his fond memories of her. Our annual flood awareness program was on May 30th. Thank you to Pete Donatello from OEM who led the meeting. Thank you also to Lieutenant Stapleton who assisted. We also had volunteers from CERT, the Volunteer Fire Department, DPW, Crisis Intervention, and Access for All to assist in answering questions, and I am thankful that so many attended. Guest speakers included a representative from the Red Cross who shared information about shelters and preparedness when evacuating. Monica, our floodplain manager, explained flood insurance, elevation certificates, and the community rating system, and the 15% reduction to insurance through the National Flood Insurance Program, which is available to Rochelle Park residents because of all the work we have done. Allison and Heather from Black and Vox described the FEMA grants available for home elevations and the process of applying, providing documents, and obtaining contractors and permits in the reimbursement process. We are in this process with residents now, and there could be another opportunity in the fall. If you or someone you know would like to participate, please have them contact our administrator. We hope more residents will take advantage of this opportunity. And now for the police report for the month of May. We had 53 motor vehicle crashes. The total amount of calls was 1,448. Total summonses was 398. Motor vehicle stops, 192. 93 emergency medical calls. 9 community outreach. 16 fire department responses. And 45 total arrests. So during the month of May, Even with the busy call volume, our patrol division and detectives continue to demonstrate good proactive tactics in the endeavor to seek out criminals and criminal behavior before it impacts innocent people, and their output is demonstrated by the 192 motor vehicle stops, 16 arrests, and 45 criminal charges, and 398 summonses issued. Some of our investigative cases were profiled by regional news outlets, such as an aggravated assault, which bleached at a local service station, and detectives identifying and arresting the subject within hours of the incident. Also during the month of May, they continued their community outreach, and members of the department prepared for Memorial Day parade and attended the ceremonies at the American Legion Post. We had community outreach officers present at Rochelle Park Day, as well as prepared emergency operation plans. The department continued our Cops and Shops program, which profiles a local business with our officers meeting and greeting ownership management and introducing the police department to them and profiling this on social media platforms. We continue to plan a bike rodeo for a national night out. The department continued to expand their capabilities of our team with training in many facets of the job, including the entire department was trained in biannual firearms qualifications. Detective Sergeant Shakin and Detective Mercoon attended cyber investigation training and at the Bergen County Academy. Police Officer Todd Starling attended major crash investigations for first responders, and Police Officer Ferrulli and Shah attended a week-long DWI standardized field sobriety testing course in the Morris County Academy. Officer Sildivia completed monthly regional SWAT team training, and Lieutenant Bermudez completed the prestigious West Point Command and Leadership Academy in May. On the administrative side, we narrowed down the police applicant pool to, at this point, when this was written, it was 8 applicants. It's now been narrowed down even more so from the 28 applications received. And that's all.
Thank you. Deputy Mayor Pucci?
Recreation camp started on Monday, and just a reminder to the residents that Carlock Field is closed during camp hours for the safety and well-being of the campers. Movie night, which was scheduled for this past Saturday evening, was unfortunately shut down due to the weather conditions, and they're working with the movie company to give us a new rain date. Spring baseball has ended, and summer baseball has officially started. Please look on social media for game dates and times, and please show your support for our kids for the home games down at Matthews Field. Football registration has officially opened for Razorback football. It's been posted online. The deadline to register is August 9th. There's also been quite a bit of vandalism and damage to both Carlock and Matthews Field. We ask that if anybody sees anything to please report it to the police department immediately. And that's all for me. Thank you.
Thank you. Fire report, monthly May 2024, the Rochelle Fire Department responded to 26 calls in the month of May, included 3 building fires, 2 cooking fires related, and 2 road freight or transport vehicles. Members logged a grand total of 125 hours in the month of April. May. And members logged 65 hours in the month of May. Oh, he had it backwards. May 29th, FD was requested for a reported oven fire. F1 arrived on the scene and found a moderate smoke condition throughout the first floor of the home. Source of the smoke was confirmed to be from the oven. Crew from E1 removed the oven from the home and checked the area for extensions. On May 22nd, FD was dispatched into Maywood for reported attic fire. Truck 1 and Engine 1 responded. Truck 1 arrived assigned to interior to check the area of the origin, while Engine 1 was directed to stretch a dry line to the fire door. Crews checked the attic and found a light haze and remnants of burnt material. The area was checked for extension. Construction report, permits issued is 29, inspections 84, total value of construction $1,064,489. Permit fees collected $18,043. UCC penalty $500. Zoning permits 1,830. Zoning inspections 4. Zoning applications 20. Zoning violations 1. Continued certificate of occupancy $1,100. Standalone inspections 221. Property maintenance violations were 129. Complaints were 99. CCO inspections 11. Total fees collected 21,473. A note from the construction officials advising that work being done in private residence without permits is an all-time high. He attributes it to many new residents moving into town and reminds everyone they must get a permit and go to the building department prior to working on or in their home. He and the code enforcement officer continue to issue about 5 to 8 violations per week on this matter. Next, my report, any attorney's report?
Nothing from me. Closed session tonight, we have to discuss litigation, provide input in closed session.
You, clerks?
I just want to remind the Township Committee that this Saturday at 2 o'clock here in the Senior Center is Christopher Alvarez's Eagle Scout ceremony.
I get a motion to open up for public portion, all items at this time?
Motion.
Second.
Thank you.
All in favor?
Aye.
This time we are open up for public portion. Please try to limit it to 3 minutes.
Mary Ellen Pardo, 161 West Oldest. I have two things I want to just ask. The first one is, when we have the recycling picked up on Mondays, is there like a time limit that they're supposed to pick up by? Because, I mean, you've probably all noticed, every time it's recycling day, it's the windiest day. Like this past
Yeah.
Monday, I drove around town and there were boxes everywhere. So is recycling supposed to come by 12 o'clock, or there's no time limit?
100% sure, right?
There's no time limit. It's
There is
it's
no
when
time
they,
limit.
from what I understand, Mary Ellen, it's when they can get everything around, because maybe somebody has 1 or 2 boxes and maybe somebody has 25. And I know what you're saying.
Yeah, I mean, it's just a
It seems to
shame,
be-
or is there something in the contract that they are
We can
supposed
look
to
up
try
the
to
contract.
pick
find
up as
out.
much as they can, or, you know, I mean,
To my knowledge,
Yeah,
no, but
all
I
right.
will look at the contract
yeah,
just to make
it's
sure.
just,
I'll
it's a
reach out.
shame, it's always the windiest nights with the
Yeah,
commingles.
always.
We do
and
have they can't start before a certain time because
Oh, yeah.
it's
That's
actually
anything,
too loud. We get
anything.
complaints
Yeah,
that
probably,
they're
yeah.
too early.
Yeah, no,
So
that's fine.
there is
I just noticed
a
this
time
week it was
slot.
bad.
So there is an ordinance that gives an initial time that they can, anybody
Yeah,
can do
yeah.
anything in town.
Okay.
You know, but I will get back to him and I'll speak to, I don't see Dave here tonight, but I'll
Okay.
speak to him about
No
it.
problem, thank you. My second thing is, I just wanted to talk again back about the pride flag. I was here last meeting, and I know Mrs. Peachy wasn't here. And again, you know, my question is if it's okay to put it up on the electronic board, so you're supporting it, but you won't put the flag up. I don't understand why you could do one and not the other. That's a little confusing to me. And again, I thank you to the people who voted yes up here. But I watched the one meeting, and Mrs. Peachy, you said that there was businesses that complained about the flag being up, and then you also stated their residents. Well, I haven't heard or seen any businesses come here to complain, so unless they're friends of yours or something, and that's how you're hearing about it, I've seen more people come up here asking for the flag to be put up, suggesting that the flag be put up. So I just don't understand why we're representing businesses rather than homeowners that live in town.
But to residents that own businesses.
Okay, and have they come and complained in public, or they just talk to you?
When we went door to door, they were talking about, that was one of the topics that they brought up to us.
Okay, why don't they come here and talk in public, or, you know, or maybe you can give us the names of the businesses, because some people might not want to
I
frequent
would
them.
suggest don't make any names of businesses.
Right,
for people's
okay,
broad
I mean, I
choice.
can't answer why they wouldn't come here, I don't know.
okay, well, I think it's a shame. I think it's a shame that that's what you did. And last year, we voted yes on it, but again, I said it was probably election year for some people, and that's a shame.
No, we voted yes. I also voted yes my election year, and I voted no this year. Of course,
Okay.
a public outcry when I did go door to door last
Okay,
year.
public outcry.
Hi, everyone. Michael Warren, 181 West Oldest Street. I have 2 questions. One is, can I get a breakdown of the cannabis money that was brought in last year and how it was spent? A pie chart would be great to show us what departments got money from the cannabis. The issue I'm having is, as I'm meeting people on the street with Team Rochelle Park and doing interviews and speaking with them, they keep bringing up the cannabis money. Why can't we have these things? We brought in so much cannabis money, and they ask me where it goes. I don't know where it goes. So I would like to know where it goes on paper. Do I have to Oprah that? Do I have to email you or Anne Marie? What's the deal?
You got more questions before we get there?
Yeah, I have one more thing. Jen, I have to just say, what you said about the businesses in town was the dumbest thing you've ever said. It was terrible. You should be ashamed of yourself. Did you ask the gay-owned and operated tattoo shop if they were okay with Pride, or you just went to the people who are chirping in your ear? Miss Pardo asked me to come tonight because I don't come to these things anymore. It's a waste. But I'm disappointed in you. There's nothing to say. There's no question. Very disappointed. And I was told not to be friendly with you, but I don't know why you would say something that terrible. I would like to know what the businesses are myself, because maybe we don't want to spend our money there. What if they said we don't want Italian American month? We don't want Hispanic Heritage Month? Same thing. Okay, that's it.
Would like to answer?
Yeah, I can answer that. So the cannabis money that was collected goes into the general fund. It's called the current fund. And that money is not dedicated to any budget line item in this year's budget itself. It's a general revenue, just like the taxes are. The alcohol licenses, so it's all treated the same.
So it's just thrown into the rest of the money and not
It's not
allocated to
dedicated,
specific
correct.
things? Okay, so it could be allocated through the budget
It
process.
is, that's
Right.
exactly what it went. And that's how we reduce the taxes that, you're paying on your
All right.
real estate tax.
Roy, is there a way that people can know what the cannabis money is coming in, and then?
Oh, sure.
And then, if the township committee puts out something and says, here's where the extra money went this year for our budget, like,
I can definitely give you what the exact dollar that we collected.
right,
I'll email to you.
yeah.
Anne
We
Marie.
can email it to Anne Marie and she can send it to me.
I'll get it to you.
Okay, thank you, Roy.
But I want to make it very clear, though, there's not a dedicated appropriation for that money.
Okay, thank you.
Andrew Matson, 14 Eldorado Court. Community is the cornerstone of a strong and resilient Rochelle Park. By fostering unity and inclusivity, we can effectively tackle the big issues facing our town. Our town is just 1 square mile. It should be a model of community spirit and cooperation. Under the current Republican majority, we're far from it. Unlike our neighboring towns, Rochelle Park did not raise the pride flag this year. Raising flags for Pride, Autism Awareness, Hispanic Heritage Month are essential acts that acknowledge and support all of our residents. This Republican majority wants to have their cake and eat it too. On one hand, they claim to have received complaints from residents and businesses about raising the pride flag last year. And on the other hand, Mr. Bassetti stated that he didn't back down to anyone. These two things don't square up. You back down to the complaints. You chose to appease a few loud voices rather than stand up for the rights and the dignity of all the residents. If there was any confusion as to their failure to build the community, they did a proclamation for Pride Month and had nobody from the LGBTQ community present. You know how out of touch that is? We need leaders with backbones. Every member of our community should be supported and defended against bigotry, not just when there's a political upside to it. These Republicans have no idea what leadership is. Words and actions matter. Everyone is watching, including the children. You're not mindful of that. Instead of leading and trying to bring the community together, these Republicans have abdicated their duty. They've given up on a strong, resilient Rochelle Park in exchange for appeasing their handlers. This poor leadership has tangible consequences for our community. A strong community that comes together in a bipartisan way has a larger voice and can put pressure on the politicians regarding Rochelle Ave, the Route 17 expansion, the Route 80 sound barrier project, or flooding. And if you don't think the lawyers who sit in our meetings on behalf of the corporate developers who seek tax breaks won't try to take advantage of our division for their own profit margin, think again. divided we will fall. It's clear this Republican majority doesn't understand the gravity of their position and the influence they wield. Your actions set the tone for our community. This is not the inclusive, supportive community that we deserve. I'll ask you once again, why did you run for office if not to lead?
Anybody else? Yes, sir. Is he appointed?
Ron Lum, 46 Terrace. Those wires hanging from the lines, it took 2 months, maybe 3 months I asked. Hasn't been done yet. One sit right in front of my house. I sit on the porch every day, I get aggravated. So I talked to somebody who knew about wires, he worked for the, he knows about them. If somebody rips something down, it can affect the whole line, the telephone line. Because every wire is grounded. I mean, you won't get a shock, but if they rip it, it could affect the person down the block's telephone. So I don't know why it's been 3 months, they didn't do nothing. Mr. Brown said he's got a list, gave it to somebody, but nothing happened.
Mr. Lum, I do remember you stating that. Oh, okay, Vance?
Yeah.
I do remember you stating that, and I think you did go to Mr. Brown about it.
Oh, well, he said he had a list. So I
Well,
said, "You got a
you
list?"
understand, let me just let me explain this. You know, when you have a list, doesn't mean that you're at the top or the bottom of the list. It's at what we can do for you now.
Not that he had the list, he's gonna do it. He had the list where they are.
Okay.
And he said he already got in touch with somebody, but nothing happened yet. It's
So,
been 3 months.
is this a PSC&G line?
Are these telephone poles, utility?
Their
Okay.
utilities?
Right,
It's
so-
a utility.
Okay.
Could be cable vision,
So-
Yeah.
could be anything.
Dave is aware of it, and he also.
He contacted them,
He reached out
yes.
to all the companies that they are, so
Okay.
it's really out of
So,
our
yeah,
hands.
Mr. Lum, if I could,
But
Mayor.
you can put like,
So-
salt on the wound, maybe, again and again and again.
Yeah, I think
Maybe
that's
we
the
can have
most.
our administrator follow up
Yeah,
on
we
that.
could have an administrator. If they're not
I said
not
follow up, yeah.
township-owned utility lines, which they're not,
Right.
township doesn't have any jurisdiction over it at all. The most we could do is the same that a resident would do, which we call up the utilities and put pressure on them to try to get out there and fix it. Something that you may want to consider doing if you're a resident. If you think that hanging wires are a hazard or a danger, you call the police. And you let the police
I came up to
know.
the board, I thought, you know,
But
smart
that-
thing, you know.
You do the right thing. Coming here is always the important thing, but the information that we can give you is that if these are in fact PSC&G owned poles and wires, there's nothing that the township can affirmatively do to physically touch those poles, repair them. It has to go through
Unless
PSC&G.
now if I said if it's a safety issue.
Well, I think from my perspective, if it's a safety issue, you always call the cops, no matter what. If the cops will determine whether there's an immediate threat or not. That's something that you should do as a resident anyway. But if they are still PSC&G owned poles, then essentially the township would need to contact PSC&G and they would need to get out there to make the fix.
So,
Now, you could say they're on the pole, but they're on the line.
It depends
It's
if it's a
between the
PSC&G
two poles you're
utility.
talking about, right?
It's
I remember
probably
you
Most of the
said
time,
something like that.
it was the line coming for somebody's
Right.
house, most of the
Right.
time.
Well, sometimes
Same
that's a
reason you-
privately owned, okay. So,
That's different.
They wrap it up, they tie it up on the bottom wire. The bottom 3 wires are your communication wires. Your live wire, your electric is up high.
sometimes there's a property owner, if the property owner has a wire that's a cable wire, you're not wired.
Property owner don't own the wire going to the line.
Okay, well, that's what the question is. Who owns the actual wire that's going to the line? That's the big question.
That's the cable, whoever.
PSC&G.
So you're saying it's, if I remember correctly, you said it was between the two poles that the wires were coming.
Yeah,
correct?
most of the time it's by a pole, because that's where they
Right.
connected it going to a house.
So, Mr. Lum, I think the best solution here is maybe somebody can speak to Mr. Brown and/or administrator, because he's not here this evening, and, follow
Take her
up.
right down here, I can take her out and see Dave.
I mean, you could call him. I mean, whatever
I can
whatever
take
you
a
think
ride.
is best, but I believe, Anne Marie, somebody can follow up.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, so noted.
You can
Mr.
follow
Lum.
up first?
Councilman,
Make a
Okay.
note now.
if I can get his name and number, I'm
Mr. Lum.
see Dean tomorrow.
Oh, you will see,
I will.
okay.
Can I have your, okay, you're gonna get it?
Right, name and your cell phone, I'll make sure. Dean-
Ron Lum. Is it Lum, Mr. Lum?
Yes.
Yes. Mhm.
I'm just
Terrace
taking notes for the
Terrace.
administrator tonight.
Terrace Avenue, yeah.
Yeah, I'll call you on the cell. You forgot. Tomorrow. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And you said with the pride flag, you guys were knocking on the door? Nobody knocked on my door.
A lot of doors we knock on, nobody answers.
Nobody knocked on my door. I'm retired. I'm home 99% of the time. Nobody knocked, and I'm a Republican, so you would have knocked on my door. Thanks, Mr. Wall.
Hello,
Hi.
Dave King with Madison Ave. It's a tough crowd to follow. I have 2 points. One is on the page of the liquor licenses. I see some addresses that made me curious, and you might want to double check them. I don't know if these are the addresses that show on the license or were they mailed to, but Alessandro El Asadero, sorry, I pronounced it wrong, is located at 375 West Passaic Street, not 372. Now, they might have an
Typo.
office.
It's a typo, sorry.
Okay. Did you catch the other one, too?
What's the other one?
792 17 North.
That's where it's mailed to.
Okay.
That's their mailing address.
That-
Yeah.
Okay. But the license itself shows 178, I guess?
Yes, it does.
Okay, you're on the ball. The other point is that I was hoping somebody would talk about redevelopment first, and they could give me the lead in. Sometimes there's some concerns about redevelopment and how it happens and whatever. But every once in a while, I look at some of where did it all start? And I'm not talking Mount Laurel. I like to start in Long Branch at a place called Matatsa. MTOTSA, which is Marine Terrace, Ocean Terrace, and Seaview Ave. And if you look at like Matatsa Long Branch on Google, you get some interesting stories, the history of it all. And this goes back like 20 years and took maybe 10 or 15 years to settle. And it also has a lot of footnotes attached, and it shows you different developments along the way in the whole scheme of things. And I always say, well, Rochelle Park is kind of a small town, and sometimes we focus too much inward. And this is an excellent lead if you want to see what the rest of the state, or even the country, how they handle some of these issues. So just something that I like to look at, and maybe it'll be interest to others as well. Matatsa, Marine Terrace, Ocean Terrace, Seaview Ave. Thank you.
Good evening, Chris Sheridan, 181 West Oldest Street. I'm just going to close out the pride flag conversation one last time. Mr. Bassetti and Mrs. Apice, last year we met over the summer and we spoke at length, and you were both very proud of the work you did last year. You stood for it, you talked about it, you were talking about how this is ushering in a new group of residents and a new leadership, and this is all about inclusivity. So it's disheartening to hear that you're protecting businesses who are openly bigoted to the LGBTQ community. So I'm asking tonight, if this were a motion that were to come up tonight to raise the flag, would you vote for it, or you would hide behind businesses and residents that I don't know are out?
You already know my personal opinion. I'm for it, but I'm not up here representing myself. I'm up here representing the town. Majority of the people, after that was raised, I spoke with. Majority was, they were not for it. Mostly, everybody was okay with the board. So that was the reason I voted the way I did.
Okay.
Not here representing myself.
Same. Okay. Disappointing, but thank you.
I know.
Not surprising, but disappointing. Thank you. Have a good night.
So may I say something to that? The majority of people who I spoke to were in support of it, and, we can have differences of opinion, which is totally fine. I have no problem with that. But to be, to say that, and I understand you knocked on doors, I knocked on doors, and I can say the ones that we spoke to, which was a lot of doors, had no problem with raising the pride flag whatsoever. And I think last year we didn't have, from what I saw, nobody was really complaining too much to me. Nobody complained to me, as a matter of fact, and was proud to do that. And this is, again, my opinion, but that was their opinion also. So fair to say that you knocked on doors, we did too. And the ones we knocked on were quite a few that were in support of it and keeping the community together. So that's what I want to say about it. And that's how I feel also. That's all I want to say about the pride flag.
Everybody has their own opinion. It wasn't just door to door, it was also when it was going on.
I understand. I understand what you're saying. There was a lot. I was here. I saw a lot that was happening on the day. Also,
We stood firm and we kept our decision.
That's
I
perfectly.
ran on my personal belief.
Right. Can I ask one more question?
That'll stop nobody from it.
Mr. Rigatano, please. It was a question about the cannabis money, and you said it was put into general funds. Can you explain to the public the general fund usage, if possible?
Yeah. So the way the budget is designed in New Jersey, you have a revenue side of the budget that has to equal appropriations. And the bulk of the money that runs the town is from real estate taxes. What supports the budget also are revenues, and those revenues can be in the form of licensing, court revenue from tickets, cannabis, which would be designed, which is other licenses, and also in other licenses would be raffle licenses. It could be the alcohol licenses for businesses. All that money that is collected has to equal whatever the appropriation side of the budget is. And that's how we basically get a balanced budget.
Right. So now this cannabis money you stated was put into general funds.
Right. So it was
I'm sorry, go ahead.
So approximately $1 million. The exact figure I will give to ex-councilman tomorrow.
Mr. Warren, right.
Warren, whatever that number is, and it will be displayed to everyone tomorrow.
And those general funds are used throughout the year for whatever we have to.
Right. So once the budget is adopted, we cannot use any other funds other than what is in that budget for 2023. There are always exceptions, and unfortunately, some of those exceptions we've had the last 2 years with the storms. And that's the emergencies that we raised the following year to pay for those damages that occur.
Thank you.
Okay.
I just want to close out the pride flag conversation and just say something that I said last month. And I think to set a precedence and then backpedal is a lack of acknowledgement and commitment to the LGBTQ community, especially right here in Rochelle Park.
This time, nobody else from the public. I ask a motion to close public portion.
Mr. Bassetti? Oh, I have a follow-up to Mr. Rigatano, and I apologize. I know it's not. Hear me out, Roy, for a second.
Sure.
Is there an informal way, maybe in other towns that you're aware of, or CFOs that you talk to, where I know resident input is not part of the budget process, but could there be an informal survey that people can go on the town website and say, where would you like to see the cannabis money go? Not that the township committee would be beholden to it, but at least to have something informal so that residents could say, oh, gee, you know what, I think, the police would be great, or Shade Tree Committee would be great, or beautification here, or, I don't know, just an informal way of asking the resident, hey, we have this extra revenue, thankfully, right? Here's an informal survey, just seeing where you guys think that the township committee would spend it. You don't have to be beholden to it. It's not binding. Just something along those lines that allows more resident input, gets the community more involved in, what they want to see. Is that something that you have noticed elsewhere?
Unfortunately, when it comes to this cannabis money itself, it's governed under strict rules and regulations. You were counsel with me. And we don't have that authority to dedicate those funds for different projects.
But they
But
do.
no, they
It
don't.
just goes into the
It's a general fund.
Okay.
What you see tonight, and I don't want to digress, but we have it dedicated by Ryder. That's on for tonight. So we're going to be collecting money, donations. Those donations are dedicated money.
Yes.
They can only go to fire victims. We don't have that authority to do a dedicated by Ryder for cannabis.
Okay.
One other thing we did start 2 years ago, anytime you want to meet during the budget process, I'm here, I'll come and meet with you anytime, and we said it last year and this year, come see me.
Thank you. Just one comment to the Township Committee. You know, in my time running around town doing videos and stuff like that and meeting residents, they like to vote on things. I don't know if you noticed that, but this best bagel thing that we're doing, it's like just bagel people, but people are into it. But maybe on your end, if you had something on your website that just said, hey, it's budget season, where would you like to see some of the extra money go into? And it's not binding, it's informal, but again, the resident can, sometimes they can't make it to these meetings, as you could tell from the packed audience. And then sometimes they can't make it to meet one-on-one either, but to say, take our little survey. Here are some areas that, you know, are that we're looking at to spend some of our budgetary money for. I think you might be surprised. People would probably go on there and click, and even if it wasn't binding and the thing that they voted for didn't get money spent on it, it's still the resident being involved and the community having some type of impact on their tax dollars. That's all, just something along those lines. That's what I've been seeing when I've been out there talking to people. They just love it. Give them something to vote on. Give them something that they're passionate about, like a bagel or a tree, and they will go there. They will meet you there. And, you know, so maybe that's something for next year, you know, if you guys remember that, but I'm sure I'll remind you guys anyway. But something along those lines wouldn't hurt. It'd just be more resident input.
So, final comment?
Yes.
So we did have some residents, specifically yourself, with the trees.
Yes.
It's in the budget.
Yes. Oh, I understand
That was because the council.
Yes. Yes.
Access for all, that's in the budget. The recreation was increased because there was resident input for basketball and football. So there is input, maybe not enough.
I want to make
but
sure
there is.
it's not just input from me who talks to them, or you know, Walter who talks to them. I want it from the person who's in town who doesn't know anybody and says, oh, you know what, my town's asking to see where they should spend some money. Let me go on the website and select something. Like, that's all. Just, again, something very informal that just gets more than the usual suspects involved in the budgetary process, right? So, just a thought, but that's all. Thank you, Roy. I appreciate it.
You bet.
I think that Mr. Warren's suggestion is, you know, I'm open, at least I am, I'm speaking only for myself, I'm open to any suggestions. And I think we were quite a bit this past budget that a lot of people did ask for certain things. Like you mentioned a few, I know the seniors, and I know there was different areas, but I see where he's going, and he's saying maybe, you know, doesn't mean we have to bind by it. Am I correct, Mr. Right?
You make the final call.
So we make but, you know,
Yes.
also, if you suggest something, Mr. Warren, and this is my opinion, it doesn't mean we can always do it, right? Everybody would have to understand that. So, again, in my opinion, it would be great. I love to hear suggestions. I think if everybody came here tonight and just made suggestions, that would be terrific. You know, good suggestions. Those are great ideas. Some things that come up are wonderful. So maybe this is something we can formulate or look into if the rest of the council has also decided to do so. That's, again, but I think it's a great suggestion. Thank you.
Yeah, I think just finding more innovative ways to get resident feedback besides just the public comment at township meetings could go a long way.
Anything else from the public? Motion to close public portion?
Motion.
Thank you. Second?
I'll second.
Thank you.
All in favor?
Aye.
Ordinance for adoption, ordinance number 1208-24. May I ask for a motion to open the public hearing on ordinance number 1208-24, a bond ordinance authorized the making of various public improvements and the acquisition of new additions or replacement equipment and machinery, new communication and signaling equipment, and new information technology equipment in, by, and for the Township of Rochelle Park in the County of Bergen, State of New Jersey, to appropriate the sum of $2,043,000 to pay the cost thereof, to make a down payment to authorize the issuance of bonds for finance such as appropriations, and to provide for the issuance of bond anticipations, notes in anticipation of the issuance of such bonds. Can I get a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Second?
I'll second.
Deputy Mayor Peachy?
Yes.
Committeewoman Otola?
Yes.
Committeewoman Judge Covello?
Yes.
Committeeman Miller?
Yes.
And Mayor Vassetti.
Yes. This time, we're open for public portion on this topic. This time, nobody stepping forward. Ask for a motion to close public hearing on this ordinance and that it be adopted with notice of final passage to be published in the Bergen Record. We get a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Thank you. Second?
I'll second.
Thank you.
Deputy Mayor Peachy?
Yes.
Committeewoman Otola?
Yes.
Committeewoman Judge Covello?
Yes.
Committeeman Miller?
Yes.
And Mayor Vassetti.
Yes. Ordinance number 1209-24, may I ask for a motion to open public hearing of ordinance number 1209-24, an ordinance to amend chapter 75 of the Code of the Township of Rochelle Park entitled Certificates of Occupancy. Get a motion open?
Motion.
Second?
I'll second.
Thank you.
Deputy Mayor Peachy?
Yes.
Committeewoman Otola?
Yes.
Committeewoman Judge Covello?
Yes.
Committeeman Miller?
Yes.
Mayor Vassetti.
Yes. Seeing nobody coming forward, may I ask for a motion to close public hearing?
Excuse me, 1 second, I'm sorry. Counsel, can you explain, this is the language part of it, please?
Correct. So this is Chapter 75, pursuant to a notice that we received from the NJ Department of Community Affairs. They put out a notice basically telling us that the way that we had, that our language read in our code about a certificate of occupancy needed to be adjusted. And specifically, the term certificate of occupancy needed to be changed to certificate of compliance. So essentially, just an administrative change that we needed to make. I'm currently working with our code enforcement to find out if there's any other parts of the code that need to be amended. I've identified a couple, but we're checking to see if there's any additional. So this is simply an administrative change to make sure that we're in line with DCA's suggestion or directive.
Thank you.
Seeing nobody step forward, may I ask for a motion to close public hearing on this ordinance and that be adopted with notice of final passage to be published in the Bergen Record. Take a motion?
Motion.
Thank you. Second?
I'll second. Oh, go ahead.
Deputy Mayor Peachy?
Yes.
Committeewoman Otola?
Yes.
Committeewoman Judge Covello?
Yes.
Committeeman Miller?
Yes.
And Mayor Vassetti.
Yes. Ordinance number 1210-24, may I ask for a motion to open the public hearing on ordinance number 1210-24, ordinance to provide for and determine the maximum annual salaries of various employees of the Township of Rochelle Park. To get a first motion?
I'll make the motion.
Thank you. A second?
I'll second.
Thank you.
Deputy Mayor Peachy?
Yes.
Committeewoman Otola?
Yes.
Committeewoman Judge Covello?
Yes.
Committeeman Miller?
Yes.
And Mayor Vassetti.
Yes. Hope that this time we'll put a public on this matter. Nobody stepping forward. May I ask for a motion to open the vote? May I ask for a motion to close the public hearing on this ordinance and that it be adopted with notice of final passage to be published in the Bergen Record. Get a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Thank you. Second?
I'll second.
Deputy Mayor Peachy?
Yes.
Committeewoman Otola?
Yes.
Committeewoman Judge Covello?
Yes.
Committeeman Miller?
Yes.
Mayor Vassetti.
Yes. All items listed below are considered to be routine and non-controversial by the Township Committee and will be approved by one motion. There will be no separate discussion of these items unless a committee member or citizen so requests, in which case item will be removed from the consent agenda and considered in its normal sequence of agenda as part of the general orders. Resolution number 024-141 through 024-150.
Mayor, I'd like to make a correction, please.
Go ahead.
If you look on the resolution itself, the 024-147, the first line says, whereas of June 21st, 2024, bids were received for Howard Avenue. It should not say
correct.
Harvey, so that's a typographical error. Thank you. Just that could be corrected. Thank you. You got it?
Yep.
Okay, great.
Yeah, and I will.
Can I get a motion to pass?
I'll make the motion with correction, sorry.
Thank you. Second?
Second.
Thank you.
Deputy Mayor Peachy? Yes. Committeewoman Otola?
Yes.
Committeewoman Judge Covello?
Yes.
Committeeman Miller?
Yes.
Mayor Besetti?
Yes. At this time, we're going to go to closed sessions, matters pertaining to litigations.
For the public benefit, there'll be no formal action taken after closed session.
Thank you.
Next public meeting, July 24th,